Jett and Hunter are in for a very long season because I think other riders are going to be much more in their groove this year than they were last year. We can circle back to this when we go to Vegas. I don't think Jett's going to win the championship this year. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the inaugural race recap episode of Anaheim 1. As always, joined by my man, Chris Barrett. And dude, before you even say anything, last night's A1 was hands down one of the best Anaheim 1 races we have seen in a very long time. Haiden Deegan falls from grace, returns massively. Eli Tomac threw it away, arguably. Ken Roczen sounds like an assassin out there with his interviews. Joe Shimoda finally gets it done. We have a lot to talk about, but my man, how are you?
Dude, I'm great. Yeah, I think last night was every fan's dream. Anaheim 1 race. I mean,
No doubt.
we got excitement right away in both first lap of both main events, which was awesome. So let's dive right into it.
It was an action-packed race, and we were texting each other the whole time, and it was just an incredible A1 to watch from the very first 250 heat through the LCQs right to the main events for both. I mean, Malcolm Stewart goes down in an insane get-off and somehow still makes the main and does the whole race because I texted you saying there's no way he's finishing the main after that get-off. But, dude, let's start with the 250s, roll our way through, and I want to pass it over to you. Give me your thoughts first. We'll piggyback back and forth, and then we'll turn this over to the comments and just have some debauchery down there.
Okay, yeah, but before we even do that, Matt and I both want to know, it's early, one race in, who are your championship favorites? Who do you guys have to win 250 West and the 450 Supercross class? Matt, I'm going to start with you on this, and then I'll jump back into the 250s, but who do you have for the title after Anaheim 1? It's early, so let's just have some fun. It's hot take.
It's early. It is early. This is all for fun, but I'm going to give you an unobjective answer because I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't fanboy over racers. I just love racing in general. Number one, Haiden Deegan's winning 250 West. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't care what anybody else says about it. And number two, you ready for this? For 450s?
Ready.
Ken Roczen.
Dude, that is a hot take, but I like it.
Ken Roczen. What he said, how he sounded in that interview, and I texted you saying this, the way he's talking should scare everybody on the 450 gate. That one, he still got the speed, factory bike, and three, he's riding no emotion. It's just straight skill. He's calm. He's level-headed. It's his show. He's in control, and he sounds like it. I think it's Ken Roczen's championship to win, but also to lose as well. I think it kind of goes both ways. But what about you, man?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I after qualifying and stuff, I'm gonna put Eli Tomac for 450s. Never seen him ride, I don't know, that confident out of the gate at A1. So I'm gonna go Tomac for 450s. We're gonna get into this more later, but I'm gonna say Tomac, and I'm gonna say Juju for 250s. I like what I saw from Julian all day. I think that was really impressive.
Dude, he was riding like crazy, man. I mean, Ryder D had a great ride too. So let's jump into the 250s, talk about the 250s. Because, Deegan comes out swinging and shows off the speed like nothing. And the crazy thing is that when he's out front, it's almost like the guy is impossible to catch. His corner speed alone is nuts. And we've been harping on this since last year and the year before that, blah, 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 about how fast he is. But I think that still is on display. And the kid's nuts. And every YouTuber under the sun talks about him for clicks and views, but it's warranted because the kid's just got talent. It is what it is.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it was definitely just an impressive night. I mean,
yep.
Ryder D's someone that I wanted to see win and get on the podium and stuff. And
for sure.
It was just like such a shakeup after lap 1. I'm genuinely just curious to see how this whole championship is going to play out. Only because, again, I have no doubt in my mind that Haiden should and probably actually will win the 250 title. I know I said Julian, but in all reality, like Haiden should win this title, right? He's the fastest guy. Sure. Really impressive to see his speed. He was fastest in the first qualifier. Juju out performed him by a 10th or something in the second one. But it's just interesting. Last year, he made a lot of dumb mistakes, and that's the reason that Tom Viel won the title last year, because Haiden made dumb mistakes. I was going after guys. I think him and McAdoo had like a little, scuffle a couple times last year.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just interesting, but is he going to keep doing this? Is Haiden going to keep making these like silly little mistakes, which was not his fault at all?
Nope.
I don't know. Like, what do you think about that?
But I think it will ultimately be the mistakes that could potentially hold him back and end up resulting in his championship to lose. Because if he does these, if he makes these mistakes and he can't recover like he did last night, I mean, the kid went from like virtually dead last to fifth. That is impressive. He finished fifth, right?
Yeah, no, so he did. And he did it in 15 minutes. He didn't have the extra 5 like the 450 guys like Tomac.
15 minutes. That is incredible. And now, mind you, I posed this question to you in text. I said, is Deegan that fast or is the 250s that weak? And I think to your point, you said the 250s is weak, and I agree with you
Yeah.
because
And
he put on a clinic, dude.
for sure.
It was a masterclass for anybody at home watching on how to pass people. But the problem is, as the season goes on, as these guys get tired and the fatigue builds, that fire may not be there. Now, granted, the kid's young, so he's going to be full of it straight to the end. But the point is, he needs to get out front to preserve and protect his body and everything like that, just so he can stay out front and hold that. But let's not take away from what Joe Shimoda did, because Shimoda had a great ride. He finally had that breakout ride that I think everyone was really waiting for. And I know you're a big Shimoda fan. So what did you think on Shimoda's ride last night as a whole from through the heat races through the main?
Yeah, I just want to clarify quick too. Like when, I did say that the 250 West class is weak, but it's weak because the 250 East is going to have 4-star Yamahas, 4 Pro Circuit Kawasaki's. You're going to have Chance Hymas. You're going to have, all these guys that are either were injured and couldn't make it, or they have an extra few weeks to prepare. So that's the only reason I say it's weak. Like right away, you got probably like almost 15 factory bikes in 250 East versus West, which we're looking at about 10 or so. I don't know. It's just very, very early. We don't know what's going to happen yet. But I mean, obviously, we have some really heavy hitters. Like you said, Joe Shimoda finally figured out the biggest issue we have, which was starts. Start to finish, got the whole shot, took off. And we haven't really seen that in a long time from Joe. Like usually he does this towards the end of the season. Again, when there's no pressure, it's so much easier just to like get a good start, take off. You're not worried about, anyone catching you. You have no reason. You're not worried about a points chase. He's been in that position so many years. This is the best start we've seen from him yet in his career. We've been waiting for this. He made a lot of big changes this year. Moving to Florida. They said he's working with Eric Sorby now, which I thought was really cool and interesting.
That was interesting to hear that.
Yeah, because I know he worked with Barsha for a little bit, and he's very quiet behind the scenes. You don't hear much about him on social media, which is cool. He's probably in his 40s or 50s now, so it makes sense. Like, is he that old? I don't even know. I feel like he's got to be at least in his like almost 40s.
He has to be.
I just remember him from like Bubba's World episodes. I don't know if you.
Dude, me too. I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen much from Sorby, but he looks good. He's training guys, which is really cool. But again, the question is still there for Joe. Can he do this next week and the week after and the week after? I don't know. I don't have that confidence yet myself, especially after seeing how much Hunter and Jett struggled with their bikes. I'm not saying Joe's doing this. He looked like he was perfectly fine, but it's going to be a long season for him per se. He's got 8 or 9 rounds to show himself and what he can do in a championship race. But dude, he looked really good. He looked really confident, comfortable, very humble on the podium, typical Joe style, and it was cool to see.
It was. And one thing, like I mentioned this to you earlier, it's nice to see him get out front and extend the lead by 3 seconds, 4 seconds, because it showed that he had the raw speed to create a gap. Because if this was, a few tenths to a second and it was tight, I would say there's no chance that he can maintain that throughout the season and still win races. But if he can get out front and hold it, I think he's going to be a problem in the 250s, and it give, Deegan somewhat of a run there, at least make it much more competitive to watch. Because if we were solely relying on Deegan for the 250s, I would say it's a wash. Don't even watch the 250s. Just focus on 450s. But Joe proved he's going to make it fun to watch in that class. And to see him be able to hold that lead and extend it and check out the way he did, I'm bullish on Joe Shimoda, man. I like it.
No, 100%. It's hard not to be bullish on him. And again, he has the speed, the talent, the potential to do it. It's just, again, like, is he actually going to get the good starts every week, which he's literally never done in his career, for one. And then, can he battle and pass these guys? Is he going to be a little bit more aggressive? Is he going to push the limit when he does get a bad start and try to push through the pack? We've seen him struggle with that in the past when he doesn't get good starts. So I'm high on Joe. I want to see him do well. But I also wonder, too, Julian Beaumer, he got second place, qualified fastest. He out-qualified Haiden Deegan, raw speed, which was, it's got to feel pretty good, when you're sitting there between the qualifying and the heat races. Like, I'm the guy coming into this right now. Like, there's probably a lot more eyes on him, and it was probably a lot of pressure. So in my mind, I think Julian, maybe he was there within 3 seconds almost the whole race. He got a little bit close a couple times and pulled it back in. Was he just being smart, or do you think that there's more in the tank for Julian? Can he actually make that 3 second gap go away? I don't know. Like, what did you think about Julian throughout the day? Again, the heat race looking really dominant, and then pushing it to the main event.
Pumped on Juju. I like it. And I think he's going to be a thorn in everyone's side up there. I think,
for sure.
To your question, I think he spent this race was his feeler, right? Get your legs under you day one and then grow from there. This is his base. So he's established baseline and he'll push from there. And I mean, yes, he finished second. So it's a heck of a baseline to have. But the point is, top fives consistently, he's in the points battle and the championship battle right to the end, right? If he can maintain that, which I think he will ultimately. And it's going to be really interesting to see what some of the guys do beneath him because I think Ryder D can be a sleeper in this. I think Ryder D will ultimately push up and show these guys will. I don't think he's going to be winning a lot of races or maybe win any races at all. But I think if he can hang out up front, he could have one of those races where if someone goes down or if he throws a wheel at somebody, he can shake up what those points might look like. So I think the 250 is going to shake out to be super fun. But Julian himself is going to be he's going to be a problem, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think he right now is the guy to compete with Haiden Deegan. But if you don't mind, Matt, I'm not going to throw it under the bus, but I'm going to talk about Jordan Smith and some of the stuff that you said about him before we got on the show.
Yes, and that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, is this Jordan's make or break year? Because my comments have been, I've said this in shows past last year about Jordan Smith, man. It's like, when does the breakout happen? And I don't care about the ride he's got and the finishes, but it's like, my man, at what point do you have to win? You got to blank or get off the pot, right?
100%. Yeah, no, we've seen Jordan in the same spot so many times where he's got a factory ride. He went to Vegas in it was probably 17 or 18 now with the points lead and crashed.
That was a while back.
He could have won the championship, but he's been on just about every team. And yes, when you say it's like make or break for him, I do think so, because who else is going to sign him after this year if he doesn't perform? He rode really well, and he actually he washed the front end out. He crashed in the main and then came back to third, past Ryder with a few minutes to go. I think Jordan's got a lot more in the tank, and I think it also shows how good this Triumph bike is. I don't think there's really any questions around it, but again, for him to push back like that, he's experienced. He has the racing experience. A lot of these guys are still really young and make stupid mistakes. But I think Jordan could definitely be here for all 8 or 9 rounds of 250 class. And he's older, but I just don't see him being out of this thing. I think he's going to be really good on this bike. And I think when Haiden makes these little mistakes, he's going to be there to nip at his heels. And I'm just curious, again, to see can he push through the whole championship. I think he can, but again, it starts and just his actual riding is going to tell the tale, because he's known to crash once in a while, and that can be an issue in this class when you only have 15 minutes, you only have half the rounds to make up points.
Right, and you're talking about age. Okay, so let's talk about age. Some of these kids in this class are 17 years old.
Yep.
At what point, because everyone likes to say you have this experience with your age and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Dude, at what point does that no longer matter? Because you're going to have these guys who are 17, 18, 19 years old that are just so incredibly fast that the speed almost overtakes the talent. Your talent no longer matters when you have raw speed to a certain extent, right? Sure. So is he more proving himself or is he proving the bike? I don't know. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because I think, the older you are, it does help to a degree, but I just think some of these kids are so fast, man. It doesn't matter what your experience is when these kids are just, balls to the wall, don't care if they get hurt, they're just sending it. I don't know. I think that'll be an interesting thing to kind of look back on as the season progresses, dude.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you've seen RJ came out and won a title last year, and he's been in the 250 class for a long time. But yeah, I'm pushing for Jordan myself. I'm probably biased, but I definitely hope that he does well and gets a title before he has to move up to 450s. Hope he stays healthy. He did that last year. We want to see him do it again. But again, there's a lot of young guys, like you said. We look at Cole Davies, 17 years old from New Zealand. The dude pretty much hung with Haiden all the way through, because he also had a mistake in the first turn and went down, or got at least shuffled up with some guys. I don't remember exactly what happened to him, but he finished 8th overall. His first professional Supercross race. Young kid, really, really impressive. You talk about Cody Schock, who got 6th. Again, riding really well. There's
that battle between him and Deegan towards the end was sick.
Yeah, I know. I thought he was going to send him to the moon.
Me too. Because didn't James say he's got to give him the business or something coming into that last turn? Like, dude,
he probably could have.
He could have just smashed.
He could have stayed on the gas if he wanted to, and he didn't. It's racing. I think he does owe Haiden one after the stuff last year that happened. But I don't know. There's just so many guys in this class that it's not as many factory guys, but these younger rookies. We saw Avery Long. Avery Long's, I believe this was his first Supercross race with the AEO KTM team. Is only 3 weeks on the bike, is what I read today. Really impressive from him. Again, not saying this class isn't as stacked. It's definitely stacked. There's a lot of fast guys. Looking forward more to 250 East now that there's more guys there that could potentially win titles. But, dude, 250s is definitely, just all in all, the whole night was so good. And there's so many question marks still, because Anaheim 1's known to be that kind of weirdo race. Weird things happen. Guys have nerves. The stadium was sold out. I mean, everybody in the industry is there. So, again, it's going to be a long season for them. And I don't know. We don't know what could happen in 2-3 months from now. Haiden might not be the guy at that point. Anything could happen. We'll see.
We certainly will. So we beat the 250s. Let's talk about the 450s. the 450s had, dude, just some insane racing, man. And it was fun to watch. I actually, once I saw Tomac coming around that turn, I thought he was going to run away with it until he tucked that front end. Give me your thoughts on the 450 main last night, some of the heat races. What were you thinking?
Yeah, dude. So Eli Tomac, I don't know where to start because again, we have not seen this performance from Eli at Anaheim one in so long.
Right.
Maybe 2023 when he threw it away and then came back and actually won the race. That was one of the best races I've ever seen, like ever in
100%.
history, for him to come back
Yep.
from throwing the lead away like that, crashing on a tunnel jump, which was wild. But Eli Tomac qualified first overall in both qualifying sessions. I
Yep.
think I don't know who posted about it today, but I think that's the first time they said like 1,000 days since like Indy 2022, I believe is what they said. Dude, the guy won the
Right.
title, that year, and
No
that's
way.
why it's unheard of for someone to be that
Right.
fast at his level and not qualify first. But
That's
he's a
insane.
racer. Again, you talk
Right.
about age and experience. Eli has that. And again,
Yep.
he got a whole shot and he was gonna take off and probably run away with the race,
He's
in
gone.
my opinion.
Me
Chase is
too.
very fast, but
Yep.
oh my God, dude, Eli was riding so good. He washed out. It made sense. Like you watch it back and it's like, yeah, there's no chance any bike was gonna go through there without washing their front end at that angle he was coming out.
Sure.
But dude, unreal race from him. Picked the bike back up after he got ran over by Sexton and fifth
Yep.
overall. And just to come back like he did was actually impressive. I don't know if we're gonna get this all year, but I'm truly hoping that we do because he sounds confident, he sounds healthy, he sounds like he's having a good time. Dude, he sat down and did a Gypsy Tales podcast. It dropped yesterday. I had the chills when I saw that because I don't think there's a single interview anywhere on the internet with Eli Tomac that's 3 hours long. So that's what I'm going to be doing today after we film and post this because again, Eli's been my favorite rider since I was a kid, and we're seeing a new side of him as he gets older. They say you get softer
Yep.
in your old age. Not that he's getting soft; he's a bad mother effer, but
He
dude,
is.
Eli's. I don't know how you could not have him in there to win the championship after that ride. Absolutely
Right.
impressive.
And one thing that I love about it's the same thing with Plessinger. He's a man of the people. And
Yeah.
every time he could pass somebody in 15th and the crowd goes nuts.
Yes.
Like the love that the sport has for Eli is just so special. And that's why I want him to race as long as he can because it'll keep that fan base, but also too, it'll keep the sport like level-headed. I don't know. It's very hard for me to articulate what I'm thinking, but the way that the crowd reacts for Eli
Yeah.
is very special, right? And it was like that for James too. It was like that for Dungy, and that's why I want it to stay the same for Eli as he kind of becomes like one of the older guys in the sport and stays there. But when he's running up front like that, man, you can see, and like you just said, if he made it through that first turn, dude was checking out, he was gone. It was his race,
Yeah.
and it's just Tomac is special. He's a gem for the sport, and I want that to stay. But the problem is, man, there are some other guys who are just insanely fast that can give him a hard time. But I think Eli thrives the best as does anybody, when they just check out and they're gone. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it that when he's out there, he's creating 5, 6 second gaps, if not, more than that. So it's just he's fun to watch, and I don't want to see him go, even though he's a father of three, he's a busy man. But just dude, Eli, hang on, dude, don't leave yet.
Well, I thought it was really interesting yesterday. They talked about it in the broadcast, but he's been telling everyone this is his last full season. But he was
No
asked
way.
yesterday, like, if he wins the title, does he come back?
Yes.
Why wouldn't he? And
I,
it's funny. I'm joking around. I'm not being serious right now, but you see all the interviews that they did at his house, and you see all his kids running around. He's
yep,
gonna pull Brady. He's gonna retire for a year and be like, "This is a lot." Not that he doesn't love his kids and family, but
for sure.
time away is good, right? Like having something to wake up and look forward to that's not just sitting at the house hanging out with your kids. Again, he's an adult. He's got to provide for his family. I'm sure he's very
Right.
well off, but I could see him being around for a couple more years after
Let
just
me
mood.
Well, yeah, let me flip it though.
Yeah,
Because what if, okay, he wins the championship?
yeah,
What a perfect way to retire. You go out on top, you're done, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. But the thing is though, and this is I feel this way after watching A1, this season feels lighter than it did last year. Does that make sense? Or not really?
lighter. What do you mean by lighter?
It feels 2024, the season felt like it was very much one-sided. The riders were going through the motions, so were the teams. And
Yeah,
this is going to lead me into my next point. I think Jett and Hunter are in for a very long season. I think it's not Jett's season to win. It's not, he's not going to win the championship this year. I do not believe he's going to win the championship. I think Jett and Hunter are going to struggle this year a lot because I think other riders are going to be much more in their groove this year than they were last year. I think that's what I meant to say.
No, that's great. I also appreciate you giving us a good clickbait introduction clip. That's what I was waiting for the whole time.
No, dude,
I,
no,
I'm I'm joking, but
no, I know you are. But for everyone watching who's going to jump in the comments and say it's all clickbait, number one, you're straight up wrong because we can circle back to this when we go to Vegas. I don't think Jet's going to win the championship this year.
that's fair. That's I mean I'm not gonna sit here and say you're wrong. Nobody knows it's so early, and we
Yeah,
saw the struggles. We can get into if you want to talk about Jet and Hunter really quick. I've
sure.
never seen Jet and Hunter look so uncomfortable on their motorcycles. Jet was
Right.
coming out of those corners and it just looked like they didn't trust the front end of the bike. Like it was almost like he was waiting to get around the apex until he really got on the gas where he normally lays that thing down and just takes off. And
Right.
he
And
posted like a recap today on Instagram and talked about it. They're struggling with the bike right now.
for sure. And this is why I love Stewart in the booth. And Stu needs to stay in the booth for this exact reason because he sees
Mhm.
things on the bike that these riders are experiencing that you and I will never be able to understand or be able to see to the naked eye, right?
Yep.
That's the beautiful thing about James's level of acumen with the bike. And when he said this, that the bike seemed to have a lot of chatter in it. And obviously that is what Jet said on his recap, like you just mentioned. And for James to realize that, obviously Jet is experiencing the same thing, so is his brother. And that if they can't sort that problem out, and the confidence in the bike diminishes as the season goes on and does not repair itself, meaning that their confidence doesn't build, I
Yep.
think it's just going to reinforce my point that it's going to be an uphill battle for Jet this year and those teams who are comfortable on the bike. Cooper Webb, and Tomac, those guys, Anderson, Roxon, who are ultra comfortable. Now they can put the pressure on Jet a heck of a lot more and kind of not remove him from the conversation, but make him less of a focal point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't disagree with you at all. I think Jet came in last year and people were like, "Oh, he's going to be the fastest guy because he went undefeated in outdoors," which
Yep.
no, they weren't wrong. Like he was absolutely amazing last year. He's going to be amazing this year.
For
He's just
sure, the kid's
starting.
insane.
Yeah, he's just starting a little bit behind. But when
Yep.
you come into the race, it shows how everyone's off seasons went. Look at Kenny, look at Eli,
Right.
look at how comfortable and good they were. Look at Jason. Everybody looks so good. They were on their game right away. We saw mistakes from Jet right away, heat race and main event that we don't normally see from him. Again,
Right.
Hunter was going into the last race of the SMX title last year, tied for points. Like just unlike them, and then Hunter crashed in the whoops. He's typically really
Mhm.
strong in the whoops.
Yep.
You're right. It's going to be interesting to see, who's going to be there to nip at their heels. I truly think that the mind games that Jason played off the start. I'm not saying Jason's the reason that they crashed, but you did see him kind of come together with everybody and push them off the track and the hay bale
Yep.
thing. Yeah, Jet and Hunter are in a hole right now that they're gonna have to dig themselves out of. But I'm sure at round 17, Jet's either going to be with the points lead or in the top three battling for that title. But this
Yeah.
isn't going to be like last year where everyone's just like,
No.
nope, Jet's got it, Jet's got it. We're going to be looking
Right.
at Kenny, Cooper, Jason. I mean, there's just so many guys right now that could win races. Look at Chase. Chase was nearly flawless in that main event last night. And
For
he's
sure.
talking. You can talk about Kenny after this, but Chase also talked so humbly, so calm, wasn't like
Right.
ecstatic, but he was just like, yeah, no, like this is my 2023 speed where I want to be. I did not expect that from Chase right away, and he's already showing that if he can do this for 17 rounds, I don't see how Jet beats him for the title. I don't.
I hear you. And again, with Chase being on the podium, saying how comfortable he was, just speaking calm and cool, I think those are the guys you got to worry about because they know that their underlying speed is going to do the talking
Yep.
far beyond what any social media post or any press conference, discussion is going to be indicative of. And dude, that's honestly one thing that I wanted to bring up to you before we talk about Kenny is during the heat race, the 450 heat race where Justin Cooper was out in front.
Yep.
I think if Justin Cooper can find his groove and the ability to stay, it seems like he has a really good start and then kind of wanes back, right?
Yep.
And there's a lot goes into that more so than I'll ever understand. But I truly think that if Justin Cooper can find his groove, he can be somewhat of a sleeper in the 450 class to kind of shake things up on a weekend where some people might not be expecting it. That might be a little bit of a hunch that I have, but the guy's incredibly fast, man.
Well, I think it's fair, and I also think if you told someone what you just said back during his rookie season, back in I don't know when that was, probably 2019, 20, somewhere around there, up
Yep.
250s, I don't think anybody would agree with you. They'd be like, "There's no way Justin Cooper's ever a 450 guy, in the conversation to be one of the best." But he's showing it again. His starts are really good. he's so young, and like I just said, he was never supposed to be in that conversation, in my opinion. An
Yep.
amazing outdoor rider, but he's really starting to show himself in Supercross, and I don't think it's fitness. I just think it's confidence with him. He seems like someone who does maybe struggle, maybe like a little bit more of a head case than other guys.
Yep.
Get some starts, get up there and battle with these guys a little bit more. Again, he could just show what you got. His raw speed during the week, I'm sure he's probably one of the fastest guys at the goat farm like every week. So I would love
Right.
to see Justin Cooper do well. He just has good form. He's just really, really buttery smooth. I don't know. It's just he reminds me a lot of like someone like Kenny, just really, really smooth on the bike.
For sure. So before we get to Kenny, I want to talk about Jorge Prado. My man, like heat race was incredible. And
Yeah,
I mean, he finished, what did he finish? He finished 14th in the main.
yeah.
I
He crashed.
think, right, would have been top 10, but
Yep,
I
for
think
sure.
Prado the problem, baby. I think he's going to be a problem this year for a lot of these guys. I mean, yes, it's his first season on the 450s in Supercross, right?
Yep.
Coming off of his MotoGP championships, dude is fast, no doubt. But I think he's going to be definitely one of the guys to watch going forward as he finds his groove and comfort level in Supercross. Because what he showed during the heat race was awesome, and I
Yep.
wish that translated to the main a little bit better. But I think don't sleep on that 14th finish because he's got a lot more left in the tank beyond the back of the pack or mid pack, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also forget. I mean, yes, it's his first. I mean, he did 3 races last year, so technically this is his like rookie season in 450 Supercross. He didn't start in 250s. He didn't have the opportunity when he was 15, 16 to just ride Supercross for the whole
Correct.
winter, race minios. He's literally like his first ever Supercross season. His first whole season is this season. So
Yep.
for him to be that smooth, second place in his heat race, he held his own. He pulled away from the guys that were behind him. That was absolutely incredible to see. I didn't
It
expect him to
was.
be this good right away. He's training with really good guys every week. He's training with Jason, someone who can really. Jason has amazing racecraft. When you think of good racecraft, you think of Cooper Webb. Jason Anderson
Right.
has that too. And to be able to watch that guy all week and to get to train with him probably helps a lot. But in my mind, he could and should be a title guy in the next 2 to 3 years in Supercross because so young. I think he's 24, 25, somewhere around there. He's got
Yep.
nothing but time at his side. If he's racing till 30, 35, I think he's going to at least win one championship in Supercross. I don't know if he's going to
Oh,
be super dominant, whether it's cards, people get hurt, whatever it is. I think with his really good starts that he gets pretty much every race, he should be in that talk in the next couple of years.
okay, cool. Before we get into Kenny, though, I want to talk about Malcolm,
Okay.
because Malcolm had a gnarly get off, and I'm sure a bunch of people saw it. You can go find it. But I texted you immediately after that in the heat race. I was like, "There's no way he makes it to the main, or at least makes it through the main with an
Yeah.
injury." I thought he definitely, broke a rib or something. And I want to bring this up because one, the guy's a trooper. He brought it all the way to what, 10th place,
Yep.
in the main after that injury. And I don't care. Dude, you know how it feels when you get racked up after when you have a pretty crazy get off. It gets in your head. The injury's there. It's nagging. You feel it. But he got the bike out there, did right by his team and didn't fold and stay out of the main. He did the right thing. But one thing that I think was like I want to talk about what James must have been going through in the booth, right? Because they're both racers at heart. The Stewart brothers have an intense amount of grit. Like it's insane what those kids have went through, what they've accomplished, and what they've done. Obviously, Malcolm not so much compared to James, but the point is, dude, James had to stay up in the booth, obviously, as he sees Malcolm on the ground. He's like, "Oh, he just got the wind knocked out of him. Just got the wind knocked out of him." And when James kept saying that, I was like, "Dude, I think there's some underlying concern in James's voice with that." Because it almost seemed like James was trying to talk himself down that it wasn't that serious. I mean, he got ejected over the bike, went into the next lane, flipped over the handlebars. It was pretty crazy. Got helped off by the medical staff. So I just feel like, dude, it's got to be incredibly tough to watch your brother just go down, get hit, and then to see him bounce back in the main like that was just super cool. So I just wanted to throw a little plug in there for them because those dudes are nuts.
That was, I mean, I think about it a lot. I mean, like, I've ridden their bikes with my dad, my whole life and
Yep.
seen him have like a good get off or two. And right away, you're sprinting over to make sure they're okay. Like, it's not like he could just get down on the floor and make sure his brother was fine. He had to sit and watch it live
Right.
like everyone else did. So yeah, it was definitely tough on him. But that crash was definitely weird. It was just situational. Like the bike kicked out, hit some
Yeah.
hard base, and he got flipped over the bars. Probably got the wind knocked out of him. I'm guessing that was what was mostly going on, but I thought maybe
For
like
sure.
tailbone injury or something.
Yeah.
Malcolm's tough. It was good to see him get up, and it sounded like he really wanted to race the main event. Rode good in the LCQ, got his spot, and yeah, to get 10th after all that, that's a pretty good A1 in my opinion. And dude, he just needs to get a podium and a win this year. I think he has the speed, but we need him to stop making these little mistakes. That's all.
Yes, dude, I want the bad luck to end for him so badly because you know he's got this incredible one. There's a lot of expectations on his shoulders just because of his last name. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna get off on that soapbox. But to your point about your dad, man, I remember when my brother and I would be racing together. He was, we were in separate classes, obviously, but I remember not being able to watch the whole shots or the starts of the races because I couldn't like just
Nerves.
stomach seeing all of that. I wanted to just turn away and watch turn one rather than everyone file into turn one. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So at that level, translate it to the pro level, man, where everyone's just crazy fast, everyone's going for it. It's just it's tough. And on top of that, dude, James has to stay unbiased while in the booth talking about the race going on as he's secretly watching his brother, kind of get up. But anyways, but to your point, man, I agree. It's we want to see Malcolm just thrive to what we know he can be because
Mhm.
it's there. We say it year after year. We just want to see it come to fruition, man.
Thriving. That's all we want to see is Malcolm thrive. But
You
know who thrived last night in the
say
40
that.
class?
Say
Ken
that.
Roxon.
Yeah, he did.
Ken
Yeah, he
Roxon
did.
thrived.
Like,
Talk to me
listen,
about Ken Roxon.
listen. I like the race speaks for itself. His, everything he did to maintain second place, stay there. And I mean, if the race was a little bit longer, could he have pushed up and gave Sexton a harder time? Who knows? But the point is, the magic happened after the race on the press conferences, right? And then on the podium interviews. Dude, he sounds next level, like just prepared. It's almost like these all the guys who are ready this year just don't want to say anything. It's just put me on the bike. Let's get on the track, let the podium do the talking, and we'll go from there. And Kenny's demeanor and everything he's laid out this year just sounds so much different than years past. And that's why I think the confidence this year is really going to bring him to that championship level ride that we know he's got and the mentality that we know he has. And I think, he's had some bad luck in the past with bikes and everything like that, but I think this year is going to be Kenny's year to win the championship. I genuinely believe that. Now, mind you, like we talked about earlier, Jet and everyone's going to be up in the mix, no doubt. Eli's there, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, Kenny's a dog. And I think Kenny's going to hold his own this year and really stay in that top 3 points battle right to the end. That's my opinion.
100%. And before we get too far into this, just want you people watching this to know that he did on a Suzuki 450, and it's definitely the rider there. Like he's showing that all these bikes are so good. Now
Yep.
it was cool to hear him talk about that he got the factory transmission he's wanted for a while. He's on new suspension, but no, all in all, he looked really comfortable, happy, content, just very like mellow. But he was like, "Look, I just want to go out there and have a good A1," and he did. He had an amazing race. He probably could have maybe pushed harder to get to Chase, but again, why throw that away at the first round? He definitely can't win it at the first race, but you can definitely lose it. And
Right.
you just, again, you think about Jet having one or two like little races like this again during the season when guys like him always get good starts. You got people like Eli and Chase who are always going to be up there battling. Kenny was awesome, and he hasn't been able to push through to the end of the seasons.
Yeah.
Again, just his injury in 2017 has definitely set him back. Dude's had so many surgeries on that left arm. He's like a robot, but I'm pushing for Kenny getting to the end of his career. I'm sure. I feel like he's a guy who will be in the sport for a long time, but who knows how many more seasons like this we'll get out of Kenny. So I'm here for it, man. I want to see more of this every week from him. Again, he's a good starter. I think he can do it.
For sure. And I think it's funny because RC and Stu were talking about him being on the factory um, transmission now, right?
Yeah.
And it's clear that there's a lot of benefits that come from all your factory components, regardless, right?
Yep.
But do you think the lack of those factory components in years prior held him back, or do you think it was more rider skill issue? What do you think about that? And do you think it carries as much weight as RC and Stewart put on it that having these factory components really does take you to that next level when these guys are already riding at the pinnacle of what the sport is anyways?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, it's he's made it very clear that he struggled with his body, energy, whether that's, the food he's eating or just the training regimen, whatever it is. I think it's a lot of things. I don't think that the bike has held him back at all per se, but I
Okay.
do think that he's just kind of gotten maybe that final duck in the row, and now he's like, all right, let's do this thing. And we're gonna have to wait and see over the next few rounds if he's still up there battling for podiums every week. This field is very, very deep. Was there five guys who've won championships in this class right now, which is crazy. So I don't know what it is or if he's been held back, but he definitely would people would say he's on a lesser bike than the other guys. I think that bike is probably just as good as all the other 450s minus the Kickstarter. But yeah, I don't know. It's just gonna be a long game for Kenny, and we gotta see if he's gonna be there at round 17.
For sure. And I think this year is going to be one of those years where we have multiple race winners of many different manufacturers and different calibers. Some guys who probably we didn't think were going to win.
Yeah.
One guy that we didn't touch on that is always in the conversation is Justin Barcia, man. Not the best breakout A1 for him, but what are your thoughts on Barcia with what you saw this year so far, and with all the preseason stuff before that? Where do you think Barcia lands?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was weird for Barsha. I don't correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm pretty sure he qualified outside top 10, like 15th or something. I thought he was 17th. At least in one of the sessions, he was like way back. That's
Yep.
not always saying much for Barsha, but it seemed like he was a little bit off, And again, 17th doesn't mean 17 seconds off in qualifying, but he was just back farther position wise than he normally is. But he took his career probably the most serious he has in a long time. He went and trained with the Baker factory this year, riding with Malcolm and Aaron every single day. I think that helps a lot. Again, another guy who's towards the end of his career. He's definitely not at his peak, in my opinion. Maybe fitness wise, he is now training with those guys every day, but I didn't know what to expect coming in because again, he's getting a bit older.
Right.
He saw the teams kind of uh, fall apart and come together. We saw the Gas team merge with the Rockstar Husky team. So I just didn't know what was going to happen there. They fired like all their staff. It was just like a weird transition into this year, but he looked really good. He was battling, giving Tomac a run. I was kind of
Yeah.
like, man, is Tomac just going to settle in for sixth? Because how could you blame him after what he went through? Sixth place from being on the ground. Okay, but Tomac got by him, but he put up a good fight. Looked
Yeah.
comfortable, looked confident. He looked like his normal Bam Bam self. Thought he was going to square some people up in some of those last turns, but dude, it
Yep.
was good to see. I love seeing these guys ride so well in the later stages of their careers, and I do think that he could definitely get a win this year. I don't know if he will, but it'd be cool to see.
Well, I'm glad that you say that because as you were just speaking, I was looking up his results down here. He has not won a race since East Rutherford, April of 2023.
Mud race, yeah, very, very
One
clearly
of
remember
the
that one.
best mud races we have ever watched.
That was gnarly.
And it was insane.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got a win in him this year, given the talent level? Or, do you think it's going to be one of those mid-pack guys, some podiums, and that's kind of it, like what we've been seeing?
Dude, I mean, you never know. He wakes up feeling feisty. Big turn, big first turn crash. Some guys start really far back where they normally don't. He gets the
Yep.
whole shot and runs away. I would not be surprised one bit. He's Justin Barsha. He's one of the best that there's ever been. He's notorious for being really good at Anaheim, one specifically, but I think his training program this year we're going to see as it goes down the road here. But I think he could compete for a win, and I'd have zero questions or be surprised at all. I truly think he could do it.
For sure. One thing I'm hoping for is a Daytona mud race.
Daytona Mud Race. Okay, I mean that'd be
It-
epic. That would suck for the riders, but I mean that place would be gnarly in the mud.
Great for television, awful for the riders, awful for the mechanics. So I'm sorry in advance,
Yes.
guys.
Cuban,
But
Daytona '08, with like K-Dub and Reed and all that. Great
God,
race, but
those races were just special, man. I want to see special racing again because those races were special.
we didn't appreciate those guys as much as we should have. But I don't know, dude. We'll see. I'm sure there's gonna be some mudders. We have like 5 races in the Northeast this year, like with like open roofs, like
Yes.
towards springtime. There's zero
Yep.
chance that we don't get at least one mud race in like April this year. So
100%.
Barca specialty. I mean,
No doubt, man. Well,
and
dude,
then
we had a
couple.
fantastic A1. This show has been
Oh,
fun to
we
do.
we we need one more. I got to at least talk about one more thing.
Oh,
Jason
let me.
Anderson, Cooper Webb, third, fourth. That was a battle that we've seen before, and I thought Cooper was going to strike on the last lap. Cooper Webb is so good being in that position. He got close,
Right,
but I think Jason wicked it up. But yeah, really quick, just talk about Jason and Cooper because they were kind of not sleepers, but there was not much talk about them throughout the
right.
day and then in the night show. But Cooper started top 10, slowly
Mhm.
crept his way forward and got fourth place, just doing Cooper Webb things.
Right. And dude, I mean, if you look at timing and scoring from the top, basically the top six, less than a tenth separated most of them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
So to your point about, Jason and Cooper, who do you think the better racer is between the two at face value?
Racecraft, I'm going to say Cooper Webb. Speed
Me
right now,
too.
I'm going to say Jason.
Right. So when it comes to these moments, like you said, like you just said,
Mhm.
who is going to come out on top 9 out of 10 times, Jason or Cooper?
Cooper, in my opinion. Cooper Webb.
Okay. So do you think what happened last night was an anomaly in terms of Anderson eclipsing Cooper or just Cooper kind of laying back and not giving it to him on the first race? What do you
I'm
think?
gonna say that's round one probably. And again he worked his way up past a bunch of guys and just probably ran
Yeah.
out of time or whatever the deal was. Cooper doesn't always come out the strongest right away, but he's someone who's going to be in a few weeks probably battling for podiums every single race. Again, he was right there. There's no reason that he's not going to win a couple of races this year. Guys, he's Cooper Webb.
Yep.
Ken Roxon probably, really was sweating going to the main event. He's a guy who's had to deal with Cooper his whole life, but Kenny came out on top this time. Obviously, it was just a good A1 all in all. I'm looking at the results sheet myself. I mean, we got Justin Hill eighth, somebody who I truly think could podium this year. He is not a
Really?
factory bike. He's riding for the Tedder Racing team. No factory. I don't know how much factory support they actually have, but Justin
Sure.
Hill was a sheriff in Washington or Oregon, wherever he lived a few years ago.
Right.
Like just to do the things he's doing is absolutely
Dude, so
incredible.
cool.
Aaron Plessinger was very quiet last night, but
Yeah.
he'll get better as the season goes on. Dude, I mean, just look at these guys. You're looking all the way back to 22nd. So many good names. I don't know. Just that like 10 to 12 spot this year is gonna probably rotate through so many different guys all year long. Would have never had Jet and Hunter in that at A1, but here we
Right.
are. And uh, they say it every year, but this might be the best Supercross season we ever see throughout history. Truly,
Dude, the vibe already feels better than last year did.
it does.
2023 was fun. 2024 was kind of just meh. It was just very whatever, middle of the road. Felt like a filler season.
Couple
It
cool
makes
races,
sense
but
to say
nothing
that.
crazy.
Yeah, nothing crazy. We
Mhm.
obviously know what happened last year. Won't beat that to death. But the point is, I think 2025 overall feels better from a spectator fan standpoint, much like you and I are outsiders. Much more fun to watch as a whole. And if
Yep.
A1 is indicative of the racing we're going to see going forward through the rest of the year, dude, it's going to be a great season. It's going to be awesome going
Absolutely.
to outdoors.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And then, dude, don't even get started with outdoors. I mean, I hope we get
We're
some
going to talk
Jet
about
Auto
that.
battles, some Tomac battles. I don't know, man. Outdoors is my favorite. I got chills thinking about outdoors, but
Yep.
Supercross already is showing that we might get a really really good season of racing as long as these guys all stay healthy. The track was really cool. Really, I won't say it was different, but it was very very. It wasn't that racy. It was hard to pass, but it was just a good track in my opinion. So, yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
looking
so.
forward to this year more than most years. Good guys, heavy hitters on the gate. Gonna be a long 17 rounds for a lot of these guys.
Long for them, great for us.
Sir, absolutely, man.
Love it, dude. Well, Chris, as always, it's been a pleasure, man. We're gonna see you in Tampa. You're coming down. So,
2 weeks.
guys, you like if you're gonna be in Tampa, drop a comment, let us know because we want to come see you. We want to hang out. We're gonna try to get a bunch of fun interviews and just talk to some cool people and really bring our outsider vision to the sport to show you guys. So we're pumped on that. But like I said, if A1 is indicative of what's to come, I think we're gonna be in for a hell of a Supercross season, everyone.
Dude, I know you're not wrong at all. And I mean, there's so many guys we didn't cover and could have covered, but we could have talked probably for another 3 hours about everything that happened last
Oh
night.
yeah,
But
dude.
looking forward to this year for sure. And yeah, we're gonna be on top of this stuff. We're gonna be posting all week, every week, keeping
Yep.
in with all the news as things break and they happen. Achilles injuries last night. Shout out to Evan Ferry, who looked really good. Hate to see that happen to somebody so young who's up and
Right.
coming and really needs to prove himself. But yeah, man, 2025 is starting off real good, in my opinion. Real good. It's a treat.
It sure is. Well, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Please share with your friends, comment down below because we want to hear from you. We want to build one of the best motocross and supercross communities that are on YouTube. We're here exclusively to hang out with you guys. So please share with your friends and comment down below. But other than that, we will see you guys next weekend. Chris, let them hear it.
One outsider out. See you guys.
Motor Outsider out.